My name is Alla and I'm from Alla's Yummy Food.
Hi there, всем привет! Welcome to my channel Alla's Yummy Food. I'm Alla and the host of this show.
I was born in Latvia and over the years I became so passionate and inspired by Russian and Baltic food, especially cakes. In this masterclass I'm going to show you some of my favorite childhood comfort dishes. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is make our delicious cream. I'm just going to get the ingredients. Now it's essential to keep this in the fridge because we want the ingredients to be nice and cold. And over here I've got my icing sugar, and this cream is very easy to make. So I'm just going to add icing sugar in a bowl together with sour cream, just inside. Make sure to use full fat sour cream, as otherwise your cream is going to be way too liquid and we want it nice and fluffy. Then I'm just going to add my double or heavy cream right inside. And this is the easiest cream you will ever make, trust me on that. If you like vanilla, I highly recommend adding a dash of vanilla extract. I've got this amazing dark vanilla from Dominican Republic actually, and it just tastes amazing. I love it. That's my secret ingredient. And then all we're going to do, I'm just going to set this aside. And now all we're going to do, we're going to take our whisk. Definitely use an electrical whisk, otherwise it's going to be very hard work doing this by hand. And we're just going to go in and whisk this on high speed for a couple of minutes. And the mixture should look just like this. Now I'm going to place this back into the fridge. Just shake off your whisk. We're going to need it later. I'm just going to set this aside a little bit and place this back into your fridge. Now that cream is done. Next we're going to make our delicious honey dough layers. So take your pan, and this is actually very simple. We're going to combine all the ingredients together and the smell in the house will be incredible. So over here I'm just adding some unsalted butter, which has been chilling in a room temperature. This is very essential, otherwise your butter is not going to melt as fast as we want it. Then we're going to add some sugar. Just go ahead, add that in. And of course the secret ingredient is honey. Now try and use the best quality honey because that's really going to elevate the flavor. Just add that in. In Latvia we have so much honey, and actually you can find over 50 varieties of honey. And also it depends on the season. So basically this cake really can taste different every time you make it. Isn't that amazing? So if you like the honey to be more rich, you can use richer honey. If you want more of a mild flavor, then use mild honey. Now all of this is going to go onto the stove. So just take it over here. And what we're doing now, essentially, we're just warming up the mixture. We want our butter to fully melt and our sugar to melt. And then as soon as it's melted, we're going to add our baking soda. And baking soda is literally going to make this kind of an explosion, but delicious one. It's going to activate everything together with the honey and sugar. So if you ever had honeycomb, this is similar, just in a honey layered dough, right? Imagine that. So all I'm doing right now, just mixing the butter and sugar and honey together until all of the ingredients are incorporated. And you can help with a wooden spoon. This really makes this process much easier. At this stage, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and take my whisk because I want to break down the butter. And I'm just going to set this aside and take the whisk. There we go. This is some large whisk over here. So I'm just going to stir this until the butter fully melts. And this is really important. You don't want your butter boiling. You just want to melt it, okay? So if you're a newbie, just lower your temperature and cook it on low. Mix this through. You see how most of my butter is melted together with the sugar. And this is where the fun begins. This is actually my favorite part. So we're going to add baking soda right inside as soon as the mixture is boiling. You see how it's boiling around the sides. Just add that in. And now the mixture is going to start changing the color. Okay, so at first it's going to look yellow because we have a lot of butter in there. And then it's going to start turning white, but you just want to keep whisking every single minute. You don't want to go and answer your phone or the door. You want to be here, okay? This is important. And you're just going to stir this up nice and easy. And the mixture can even bubble up. That's why it's essential to use a deeper pan like this. Just keep stirring. It's gonna smell delicious in a second. I can actually already smell this. This is so good. Look at that, the color is changing, it's becoming more pale, and this is where the caramelization process is gonna happen. And you will see this happens so quickly. And always go around the sides as well, as the caramelization usually happens around the sides and not in the middle. That's why we're stirring so much. Keep going. If you ever made caramel before, it's kind of similar, you know. It's turning from yellow to amber to golden. And look how quickly this is changing. Now we're getting there. Just another minute or so. Look at that. Wow, absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I love this smell. It really reminds me of home. Honey cake is one of those dishes that is popular literally everywhere. I don't know a single person who doesn't like honey cake. Look at that. Now you see how dark the color is. Now this is perfect. I'm just going to give it a last stir and take this off the heat. Now the dough will be sticky and look a bit funny, you know what I mean? But that's okay. We're going to take this off the heat now. And we're going to set this aside to cool down. Ideally, you want to cool this down in room temperature for about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm just going to place this over here and cool it down. Now I've actually already pre-made the dough and it's cooled down over here. And this is how it's going to look once it's, you know, fully nice and cool. It might harden, and that's okay, don't be freaked out. This is the stage where we're gonna add our eggs and flour. So what you wanna do, you're gonna need your wooden spoon again, and you might just wanna break down the mixture. It will look like very sticky, and that's the consistency we're looking for. Now, you do need your whisk again. We're going to be adding one egg at a time, whisking it thoroughly, and just once you finish all the eggs, then we're gonna start going in with our flour. So go ahead, add your egg and whisk on sort of low to medium speed. You know, don't need to go crazy. Just like that. At first it might look like the dough is not coming together, but then you see as soon as you mix it through for a few minutes, it comes together nice and easy. Add another egg. Just like that. Okay. Amazing. And everything is in one bowl. That's why I love it. Take your flour now and add a little bit at a time. So just add that in, about 1/3 I would say. Go ahead with your whisk and mix everything through one more time. Move around the edges. And don't mix for too long. The longer you mix the dough, the harder it becomes, and we want nice soft sponge. Then add a bit more flour and go ahead and mix one more time. And you see how I'm rotating the bowl? This helps me to mix the dough much easier. Just like that. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna remove my whiskers and we're gonna add the rest of the flour and mix it through with our spatula. Because the mixture is getting thick, we're not gonna be able to do this with a whisker anymore. I'm just gonna place this into the sink. Okay, let's move this aside. And now add the rest of your flour. And this is where it's going to get a little bit hard. Actually, take your wooden spoon instead. And just fold it through. So you want to go around the corners and then in the middle, around the corners and then through the middle. Okay? And if you have any children in the house, they love this part, okay? It's kind of messy, but it's fun. It's like a Play-Doh consistency. And this is what I used to do. I used to sit there and watch my granny make this dough. And if I'm honest, I used to eat the dough raw. But that's the best part of it, you know, when you remember what you did with your family. And the dough is nice and ready. This is the final consistency. So it should be nice and sticky, just like that. And with the flour, don't be tempted to add more, okay? So it's always better add less flour than more. Now this is done. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take my tray. So I am using silicone mat, but you can also use parchment paper. Basically, silicone mat is not gonna make it stick to the pan. We do have a lot of butter in here, but it's just easier for me. And we're going to divide this mixture into two. So you're going to need 2 trays. Just add half of your honey dough right in the middle, just like that. And I'll show you the best trick, because this is a super fast and easy honey dough recipe where you don't need to roll out all the layers separately. That's why I love it. And you're actually going to go in with your hands, but like I said, this is the fun part. So what I'm going to do over here, I've got some water. I'm just going to dip my fingers so my hands are nice and wet. And I'm going to scoop off the dough from the spatula, as we don't want to waste any of that dough. I'm very tempted to lick the spoon, but you know, I'll save that for later. So now your hands are nice and wet. You're just going to press the dough, look like that, and just shape it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just stretching it out, but your hands get sticky again, so that's why you need to have a bowl of water over here and just dip your hands again. Do shake them off. You don't want to add too much water to the dough, but it really helps you to shape it. Just squeeze and shape. We want a nice rectangle shape. The thinner you spread it, the more honey sort of dough you're going to have. The layers are going to be thinner. So it's really up to you. I will show you how it's going to look. So just kind of try and be as even as you can. You can also use a spatula in this, you know, in this bit, but I find that you have more control with your hands. There we go. Look at that. It might look funny and messy, but this is the best part, like I said. We're really getting into there. Really getting involved in the whole process. There we go. Now try and make it as, you know, as a nice shape as you can, because we're going to be trimming off the edges, so don't worry about it being perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be delicious. Now that's it. I'm just going to wash my hands. Now my dough is ready. My oven is already preheating at 180 degrees Celsius, and we're going to bake this for about 12 to 15 minutes depending on your oven. So just take this ahead to your oven and place it right inside in the middle shelf. Okay, just like that. Oh, I'm so excited. Can't wait, because the house smells incredible, okay? The smell literally travels all across your neighbors. That's how we do it in Latvia, right? Like, you seduce everyone with the smell. Next, what we're going to do, I have already prepared and baked my layers, so I can show you how it's going to look. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab them, just like this. And over here, so I've baked the 2 layers. I'm just going to take them off and place this over here. You want to be also very gentle and careful, as they're very fragile. Take this over here. And technically, you want to make sure they're the same size. So what I usually do, you can cut them in half, 6 or 4 layers, it's up to you. So just roughly cut it in the middle. I'm going to do 4 layers, just like that. And then I usually take 1 square and shape it, and then just cheat like that, you know, and measure it roughly so it looks even. There we go. That's it. How easy is this? Now we're going to go ahead and take our cream from the fridge. While we were making our layers, the cream had time to set in the fridge, which is great because we do want it a bit thick. Now, final thing we're going to do, we're going to have to layer our cake on a final presentation dish. So I'm just going to grab this presentation dish. You can use a plate or board, whatever you have in the kitchen. Place that right in the middle, okay? And this is the secret. You're going to need cling film because the cream is still quite liquid, and if you don't want it to go everywhere, you just want to cling film this, and that way your cake is really going to soak it all up. That's the secret in honey cake. You want to put a lot of cream in there so it soaks up overnight. And then when you cut into it, oh my God. There we go. Place that over your board. We're going to put the first layer right in the middle, just like so. Take your cream. You can actually have this cream and eat it with a spoon as well. Very, very creamy. Now we're going to add a couple of tablespoons inside. So just pour that in. Don't worry that it's leaking a little bit. That's normal. We do have a lot of sour cream in there. And then just spread it out into each layer, okay? Overnight, this is going to soak through. Imagine soaking through vanilla cream into honey dough sponges. They become super moist, literally melt in your mouth. I can't even describe it. I can tell you about the cake, but unless you make it or try it, you're never going to know what this is like. This is like heaven. It's literally my favorite cake in the world. Now take your second layer, place that on top, just gently press on it and repeat, okay? So I just kind of pour that in and spread it out. Again, don't need to worry about it being perfect, just pour as much as you can and go over the layers, just like so. Put our third layer on top and pour the other third of the cream. There we go. Oh, just can't wait. So honey cake is so popular. Did you know that there is over 300 honey cake recipes? That's because each household, let's say each housewife usually has her own. So you could add different spices to it, different fillings, you know, all sorts of things. Once you know how to make the dough, go ahead and experiment in the kitchen. You know, go crazy, do different things. Try different flavors, especially in, you know, cinnamon, nutmeg, just it all. Now go ahead and sprinkle your cream around the sides, okay, just like so. And we don't want to wait too much longer. You're going to lift up your cling film and fold it over the cake, just like this. We want it nice and tight, just around the corners. Look at that. You see how we almost sealed it inside? There we go. You can touch it with your hands, so it's nice and firm, and that needs to go into the fridge straight away. I know you might be impatient, but trust me, this cake needs time, so definitely leave it in the fridge for at least 6 hours, or best if you can do it overnight. Let's put this in the fridge. I'm just gonna grab the one I made last night, and it's been soaking in the fridge overnight. Look at this. You see what I mean? The cream has set and it looks absolutely perfect. Okay, so over here I've got some crumbs, and these are the crumbs that I have left over from the honey dough that we baked earlier. You can also use crushed cookies or anything else that you have in your house. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna sprinkle some on top of our cake and the sides and literally make this look very pretty. So just go ahead and put it all over. So I always do the top first because that's like the first look, and you can dab it down, okay, just a little bit. And almost, you know, if your cream wasn't put perfectly on there, don't worry about it because we're gonna cover it all with cookies. So just go ahead, and the little trick I give you, you put it into your hand and just touch the honey cake and cover it, just like that. You wanna just go around the cake and cover it all around. It's a bit messy, but it's okay, right? That's the whole fun process of it. Just like that. Here we go. Just gonna do the other side. Wow, this just looks, literally reminds me of home. By the way, you can find honey cake in every single like coffee shop. So it's one of those cakes that is just everywhere. Like you literally can't go to a restaurant, to any bar, anywhere in Latvia, Russia, or any Eastern European country. They have their own variation of honey cake. I'm just gonna place the bowl over here. And lastly, I'm just gonna tuck the crumbs in. Look at that. Now this is where you're gonna get as creative as you want. You can leave it plain and classical. I'm gonna decorate it with some fresh raspberries. So take your raspberries and place them all over the cake to make it look absolutely gorgeous. And it really adds that color to it as well, so it really pops. And then because the cake looks so simple, people don't know there has so many layers inside, so it's almost like a surprise. And when they go into the cake, wow, I'm gonna just cut it as well and show you the layer. Look at that. Lastly, I'm gonna add some melted dark chocolate. Over here on my stove, I've got some chocolate here. Just gonna come here and take it off the stove. It's nice and smooth. And this is another thing that I love doing. I'm just gonna drizzle that all over the cake. So just take your spoon and just drizzle, just like that. Okay, you can add as little or as much chocolate as you want. It's up to you. Wow, Okay, look at this. Our beautiful honey cake is done, but before I go, I need to show you how it looks. So take your knife, cut it through, and I'm just gonna show you the layers. Wow. Our honey cake is done. I can't wait to dig into it.